This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Game Time. Use code SGPN at Game Time for $20 off your first purchase. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100 times. That's right, 100 times. Turn $5 into 500. Our boy Cameron Kerr at the Golf Gambling Podcast hit like a 95 to 1 pick. Literally crazy. Go follow him on Twitter. Finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, game lines. Download Hall of Fame Bets app and visit hofbets.com. Code SGPN gets you 50% off your first month. Start making smarter bets today. We are here, Shriners Open DFS, with my boy Kyle Hewitt, Huey Mack up in the building. Thank you for joining me tonight, Kyle. Let's get after it. You ready for the Shriners?
Of course, nothing gets me going like a little fall swing DFS tourney. So I live for these types of tourneys. So
yeah, these are the real diehard Sweat City. Like, this is what we live for. We get 2 hours of TV coverage on the weekend, and like we just are on the tracker. But like that's what we do. That's what we make money on.
Exactly. The money spends the same. So I'll take what I can get here.
So we will start off talking a little bit of the Sandy F. You told me before we got on you had a little bit of a sweat. You had a DFS sweat. Ben Griffin was a key piece of that lineup. I had Ben Griffin 55 to 1. So what was your overall thoughts on the you couldn't have watched that much Shriners because no one did because it wasn't on DVD. What was your overall thoughts on the events? Like, it's the fall swing. So what do you think?
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, I thought, all things considered, the event ended with fireworks, in a 5-man playoff. I don't think, going into Sunday, people were necessarily expecting Ben Griffin to cough the lead up, especially when I think he had, 4-shot lead on the back nine. And I think I saw that he bogeyed 5 of his last 11 or something along those lines. So had a little bit of a sweat, turned it on for a little bit. As soon as I turned it on, he seemed to start going downward. I had a little exposure to List and DFS too, but didn't have him an outright. And I thought the playoff, good for him for kind of being a guy that never seems to be able to make a big putt, just burying one from 48 feet. So
no, that it was like a dagger. It was like right here. And when I was like, I could feel it happening because I had Will Zalatoris at Torrey Pines. Of course, I'm wearing my Torrey Pines shirt. And like, how am I going to lose to Luke List twice on his only fucking wins? Like, seriously, I hate Luke List now. I absolutely hate Luke List. That was a tough watch down the stretch. And like, prolific winner Ben Griffin, we all thought he was just going to hang on, and he just absolutely. It was disgusting. It was just hitting shanks. Like on number, I forget, like 13, I think. He went OB on the opposite hole. He hit it like so far right that it was in the parallel hole hazard. I was like, this guy, like he might like literally never again with this guy. So
yeah.
Any other thoughts on the Shriners? I mean, Sanderson.
Yeah, I mean, never again with him. And I told you before, I got him 80 to 1
until this week. This week.
Yeah. So no, I thought the only other thing that was worth noting and kind of funny, kind of sucked, was Carl Juan hold out for eagle. Got to where he needed to be in the playoff, and then bogeyed 18 and missed out on the playoff. So I felt for him. That was a crazy shot, though.
Yo, he has no chance to ever win because just his swing fundamentals on the back nine on Sunday, they will just break down every time. He's like on the tee box, no one that's not winning a golf tournament. He's not.
No, he's everybody that I've heard talk about him he's like the hottest, coldest golfer. So he'll go out one day, he'll shoot 10 under. The next day he'll go out, it'll be 5 over. So
yeah, this fucking guy. All right, let's bring up the DraftKings pricing for the Shriners Open. I would say this is a more fun event than we saw last week. Just like a visually better golf course. I hate watching the Sanderson Farms. It's just such a bland golf course. Literally no one at the event. It's just like you're watching a Corn Ferry Tour event. No one's there. So this event is much better, in my opinion, just from a visual standpoint. We got some better names in the field. What are your overwhelming thoughts on this event, on this golf course? What are you looking for stat-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's guys that can total driving guys that kind of hit good drives, keep it in the fairway. You can be long here. You don't have to be long here. I think this is one of those courses where it's high altitude, so the ball carries a little further actually, which is why it's kind of like the people last year were all over Tom Kim. It was a pretty popular pick, but I think rightfully so because he's a guy that doesn't carry the ball as far. He's playing in higher altitude. His ball's going to go a little farther. Incredibly accurate. So I think you want guys that keep the ball in play, guys that can get hot with their putters. There's some guys who are exceptions to that, but those are basically the two things I'm looking for.
So you mentioned Tom Kim, and that'll lead us into this 10K range. He's the second highest priced golfer. Ludwig leads us off. Tom Kim, Cam D, and then JT Poston. Out of this 10K range, you got to pick one guy. Who's your guy at the top? Who you taking?
I'm going to be taking. It's going to be probably ownership dependent between Tom Kim and Ludwig. My lean is Tom Kim. I think Tom. I was just talking to some people about this. I'm curious your take as well. But like I think Tom Kim's still like a slightly better golfer. I'm not taking anything away from Ludwig. I think Ludwig's going to be great. But like Tom Kim, runner up at the Open Championship last year. I think he was the youngest guy to runner up the Open since Seve did. He also, I think, top 10's another one of the other majors, and then top 15 the Masters, or top 16 the Masters. Younger than Ludwig. I feel like there's all this hype on Ludwig. He was lost in the playoff last week. Could see a lot of eyeballs being on him. So I'm leaning Tom Kim, but at the same time, he's defending champ. So maybe people, people get there. I think both of them are going to be highly owned. So
yeah, I think this is actually the highest Tom Kim has ever been priced, if I'm not mistaken. And now, look, he's finally putting again. He went on that lull in the midseason where he just could not putt. It was like he looked like Colin Morikawa, JT on the greens, and he's figured it out. He's playing some decent golf, but when Ludwig came on the scene, I don't know what about this guy where he was such a polarizing feature. Like people loved him or hated him, like right out the gate. You're like, yo, Ludwig sucks, or this guy's awesome. Like I don't know why he was like this polarizing, but I was like Team Lud from the jump. So I'm gonna victory lap Lud just being in the playoff. So I'm Team Lud. I'm going with him. I just think his ceiling is so high. I'm buying Ludwig stock. Because just think about the best players in the world, the Rory McIlroys, the Victor Hovlands, the John Rahms, the Scotty Schefflers. They're the most long and straight in the world. The total driving, like you said, just that distance, having wedges in your hand, having a lower club, that adds up over 72 holes. That adds up over weeks, over months. So just having less club and just being so consistently 330 down the middle, I'm buying that long term. And I know he's the highest priced golfer for a reason. Yeah. But I think we're talking about the highest priced golfers in this range. I'm going to go with Ludwig at the top. What are your two thoughts on the Cam Davis and JT Poston? Do you think they have a shot? I mean, JT hasn't played in a while. Cam D's been all right.
I bet JT. I was going to bet one of the guys at the top, but then I also knew I was playing DFS this week. So I was like, fuck betting one of the guys at the top. I'll fade them in the betting market. I'll play one of the two in DFS. I like Poston. Cam Davis is also good at these like less than driver courses. He's like he's one of those guys that like he's a bomber, but like he's sneaky. Like I always go to the Heritage. He's like a bucket on that course. He's got a really good track record there. One other thing on Ludwig, just to get back to it, I actually think he's a better course fit this week than he was last week for anybody that cares about that. I think there's more. I think the driver is more important this week, whereas last week you were just kind of hitting it and you could end up anywhere. Like there's some penalty here off the tee. So
right.
I'm not against you on him. He's still in my head clearly. But yeah, all those guys are good bets. Up in the
I agree. Also, real quick on Ludwig, from what we've seen with him, a small sample size, he's done his best work at like driver wedge courses. He's kind of struggled with the mid to long irons, and he won't have any really mid to long irons here this week. So I'm with the Ludwig. I like your call on JT. A little bit scared that he hasn't played in a while, but it's either all or nothing with him. So you're gonna get that top 5 finish, or you're gonna get like a T40, which is a good, I guess. an ownership dependent pick. So we'll move down to the next range, the I guess 9K range. We'll talk just 9K range. Siwoo Kim leads us off. I think he's a bit underpriced, to be honest. And we go down to, this is just an objectively crazy price on Lucas Herbert, 9K. Adam Shea, Cadwin, Griot, Højgaard, Cole, and Siwoo. Like I said, okay, so upper range. It's funny to see Eric Cole just consistently in this 9K range now, but he's kind of been paying off except for last week. What's your thoughts on this 9K range as a whole?
There's three guys I like Eric Cole. Like I model things out. Like I'm not one of those guys who like is live and die by the model. I do it just so I can gauge things. I don't like Eric Cole has been great. I agree. This is the type of course though where he was kind of disastrous with his driver last week and
Every week.
yeah, and that could be on this course not something that's great. He's so good everywhere else, so sometimes he makes up for it. But that's enough reason for me to fade him. I'm with you on Siwoo. I think coming off getting that gold medal too, if you're into that,
Yeah.
no like measure like narratives. Like I actually like that. Him and Sungjae got the gold in the Asian games, so good for them. I think they get out of exempt from military service or whatever. But I like Siwoo, Hadwin, and Shank. Those are my early 9K leans. Herbert's a fade for me.
Herbert's a fade. No, I like what you said about like no measurable narratives. No measurable narratives are like everything. You said they are everything. The Ryder Cup snub, the President's Cup year, the Ryder Cup bump.
Shank's a huge Ryder Cup snub.
You can make that case for every golfer on this slate. If they're American, they should have been on the Ryder Cup team. If they're European, if they're Asian, this is a President's Cup year. So I'm down with what you said for those guys. And I'm probably going to go with Siwoo. He's a little bit underpriced. But Nikolai, is a guy like Ludwig. I'm just buying so much stock in. He is so damn good with his irons and wedges. He gets a bit shaky off the tee from time to time, a shitty putter, but he's just so damn good with his ball striking that he's going to have so many looks. I think his floor is fairly high, if you know what I'm saying. And at 9.6, I think it's a fair price in this field. I don't see him making 26 birdies to win the event, though. But I think he's going to have a ton of opportunities to get himself to that spot. You mentioned you liked Hadwin. What's your thoughts on Hadwin?
I'm not trying to like overcomplicate things this week. I think if you hit fairways and you hit greens and I like Hadwin has a 10-6, 34-4 here. And he's played here 4 times. Those are his finishes. So
you said he has a 10-6, 40. Like that was sick.
Yeah. Those are so he's got like 4 really good or 3 top 10s and 4 top 35s. So pretty solid track record. He kind of like golfs his ball. He kind of keeps it in the fairway. He's very similar to Shank, and from a DFS perspective, I could see Hadwin getting. I mean, everybody's going to be on Shank this week. Like I bet him. I think it's a good number for him. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's another guy who has good track record, but we're talking a little DFS here, and I think if you're looking for a little bit of leverage, not that you necessarily need it here, but I think Hadwin could be a good play, and he can be your second, third guy in certain builds. So you're not asking him to win necessarily.
I totally agree with you, everything you said there. Before we get on to the 8K range, I am going to talk to you guys real quick about Game Time. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals, sports games, concerts, exclusive flash deals right up to tip-off, right up to the start of the show. Quick story about Game Time. I was going to a golf tournament, actually, and I ended up not finding parking. So I was like, fuck this. I'm going to go do something else. Ended up finding tickets to a concert last minute. Promo code SGPN will get you $20 off. So never use Game Time and you need tickets to something. Game Time is the place to go. Okay, 8K range. Before we get to the 8K range, actually, let's click 1 or 2 guys up here that we already talked about to just start our lineups out. I'll go first, and then you can either agree with me or pick someone else. So who's someone we both liked in this? I think we start with Siwoo because we both like Siwoo. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm good with Siwoo. I was gonna say I'm good with Ludwig. Like I'm not anti Ludwig. I kind of want to see the ownership this week, but he's in my head, and you did a good job selling him. So like what does that leave you? Just out of curiosity.
Not something I think you'd want to do.
Uh,
7-2.
yeah, not that great. So
No. You want to start with Ludwig and then go down, or you want to start with Siwoo and have two guys from this 9K range?
yeah, I think that's kind of the way to do it. What you just said, it's Ludwig and one guy, or it's Siwoo, or it's kind of you juice the 9K. So I
Is there anyone at this bot? What about Ludwig Hadwin? I like Ludwig a lot. You like Hadwin a lot. I feel like still not great.
yeah, I like Spawn too. If you're willing to go to 8, 8, 9, I think he's another interesting play
All
guy.
right, you know what? We'll talk about the 8K range, then we'll go back up. So, am I screen? Yeah, I do. Okay, 8K range. We got JJ Spawn down to this is a small range down to Mark Hubbard, who has been playing a lot of golf and playing decent golf. So I think starting off in this 8K range, I like Tom Hoagie a lot. He was the first guy I bet. I bet him 50-1 this morning, and he's finally gaining 6+ strokes on approach. He looked so good at Wentworth. He gained like 6 on approach and finished top 20, I believe. And then last week he had another really good approach week. Putter has to cooperate. This is a golf course he can totally fuck on. So Tom Hoagie is my guy in this upper 8K range. What about you?
Hoagie is definitely on my list. I think that it's weird. Like towards the end of the year, he started. Towards the end of the year, he started like playing well, but it was. If you look at his stats, it wasn't like his normal way of playing well. It wasn't really like gaining on the irons that much. He was actually like hot with the putter, which was odd. But yeah, I noticed what you noticed. I like his track record here. He's got good course history. I'm not trying to overcomplicate things. I think that's kind of just a good marriage, good form, good course history, and it's a course where you're going to be hitting a lot of wedges, and this is actually something that he is, probably you could say top 20 guy in the world, which is funny when you talk about Tom Hoagie, but he's really that good with his wedges. So it's kind of a course that you want to get him on, and to your point, just a matter of if his putter will cooperate.
Yeah, and I also kind of like Sweet Bo down at 8-1. I'm going to jump all the way down. Sweet Bo, he's never missed a cut here, surprisingly enough, and I feel like he has as high as a ceiling as basically I don't mean that. He has a fairly high ceiling. I know it's not always great, but he's contended plenty of times, but you don't want him on that back nine on Sunday. But at 8-1, he's kind of a proven golfer in this range, and I feel like he can make some noise on a golf course where you said total driving is important. And when Bo Hostler is playing well, his driver is elite and his irons are never good, but you're going to have a lot of wedges here. So I like Bo at 8-1.
I normally am not a Bo guy. If I were going to be a Bo guy, it would be because everything you said this week. Like last week, he was 9K, which is too much for me for
Way
him.
too much. And
But
this is the same field. So like
yeah,
you're getting a major discount.
there's two big names added to basically, 3 or 4 big names, I guess, added to a very similar field as last week, and he goes down like $1,000. So I don't hate him. I like Putnam. I can see him being chalky, and I also like Spawn at 8, 9. Very similar.
What's your spawn case? Yeah, let's hear this.
He's very similar to Hoagie, like just from following him. Like he's a guy that's got really good wedges. He's got a 10th here, 15th here, 35th here, 15th here in 4 out of his last 5. 11th at Fortnite, nice stats. 24th at St. Jude, 38th at Wyndham, 37th at 3M. So he's just kind of playing well. I don't think this is a good field. So I think he's one of the better players in it. Good course history, playing well, and he's normally a guy that people overlook. So that's kind of my angle with him.
I don't hate that. Yeah, he pops here and there. Aaron Ryan might be a trendy name this week. I like Aaron Ryan in difficult conditions. I just don't see it here, to be honest. But he did play well in the BMW International, which is, I guess, similar scoring conditions. But let's talk about Luke List, winner last week. Is he going to? I saw Underdog Golf post. I saw Underdog Fantasy Golf post. Luke List is honoring his commitment to Shriners. Like, okay, cool. Thank you, Luke List. We're really happy you're here this week. So, how do you think he's going to come off the win? Like, he's playing good golf, I guess. Do you want to play him at 8-4? What do you think his ownership's going to be? Just give me a Luke List thoughts.
I don't hate it. I mean, I'm not a guy who, like, if somebody won the week before, I cross them off my list. I don't necessarily believe that type of stuff. I mean, I fall for it sometimes. I try not to, but like, uh, I'm not like dying to go back to him. He's actually got decent course history here. He's
Yeah,
actually one of those guys who's like sneakily, like, obviously he kills the ball, but like he's a good, like, take driver out of his hand, and he's actually like good on some of these more tactical plotters courses. And part of that's because he's such a good driver. But other guys I like more here. I like him more at a course where he can pound the ball and separate tee to green, and I don't think there's as
agree.
much of that this week. So I'm willing to step away. I also like Hubbard, like I think you said, but I think he's going to be popular.
He's been, yeah.
So
He's playing good golf, so.
he gained
But
the most shots on approach round 4 at the Sanderson Farms, and then he lost 2 strokes putting. So
yeah, he was the definition of unclutch. Like, he 3-putt from like 8 feet on Sunday when he had everything he needed to do to make the playoff. So I'm gonna actually take a harder look at Hubbard real quick so we could talk about him. He finished finished T6 last week, gained a ton of strokes ball striking on consecutive starts. I'm down for Hubbard. I hate to say it. Like, I think I really am. I bet Hubbard so much last summer, spring, and I put him on the blacklist. Like, he was on my blacklist, couldn't win, but I was like, if he top tens, he's off the blacklist. So I think just based off that, I have to bet him this week, and there's no reason that he couldn't win. He's like kind of a liability off the tee, but he's gained in 2 straight weeks. So he's hitting the ball well. He's played the first 2 events. I think that is important that he played the first 2 events because a lot of these guys are going to be rusty. So now that we have some thoughts of the top 3 ranges, let's go ahead and fill it out. So I feel like we like a lot of guys in these 8K in this 8K range. So should we just go down to Siwoo?
I think I had a start in mind that I think encompasses everything that we were
All right.
thinking about.
What
And
do
we
we got?
go. I don't know how much it's going to leave on the table, so we got to check. But it'd be Ludwig, Hoagie, Hubbard.
Okay. Okay. I like that. Ludwig, Hoagie, Hubs. Dude, that's vibey.
Yeah, I
That's
like.
actually that was the same thing as Ludwig Hadwin, and which is like this is way hotter than Ludwig Hadwin.
Yeah, and you don't need Hubbard to win, which I like. You don't.
But
You
he
can.
is though. That's the thing. He is though.
Yeah, exactly. So just free square, build around him.
Yeah.
So 7-4. I guess we haven't gone to the 7Ks yet.
We
So what do
haven't gotten there for you.
you want to go to the
Yeah,
7Ks?
that wraps up that 8K range. I feel like also, by the way, like Alex Smalley, but we'll move to the 7K range.
Yes,
All right.
that's kind of
This is
his
a
thing.
big range. Wow, this is where it gets tricky because this
Yeah.
range is deep and this range will there's going to be decisions to have in this range. So 7K Troy Merritt, who was trendy pick already this week, underpriced, I would say, up to Justin Suh. He is a Vegas guy, I believe. Okay, so I love Doug Gim this week. Brian already knows. Doug Gim, I bet he plays out of TPC Summerlin. He is absolutely playing decent golf right now. His best wedge range is 100 to 150. He's super accurate off the tee. I know he missed a cut last week, but he lost 3 strokes putting. So he hit the ball. He's been hitting the ball fine, but he's been putting okay. And Doug Gim's like trait was team no putt, and that's what you expected. He didn't putt last week, but he's been putting okay. He's what 7,800. I think Doug Game is so we got Hubbard winning. I think Doug Game finishes second, and those are just 2 free scores.
There's your exacta for the week. But yeah, I Doug Gim gutted me last week. I
Absolutely gutted you.
I played so much Doug Gim in DFS, and I had so many great lineups that he tanked. But it's whatever. It's a short leash, and you just got to kind of forget about this stuff with golf. But I don't hate it because I agree. I mean, I saw everything you saw. That's why I was so heavy on him last week. I bet Justin Suh. I like Justin Suh this week.
Okay.
The sell is he normally sucks with his irons. If you look at his irons the past few starts, he's actually kind of heating up with the irons. He's finished 8th here the one time. I don't know if he played here more than once. Let me see. Oh, he has, but he's missed the cut once. He finished 8th once.
I didn't notice that iron thing that you just said. That's legit because I always when I see Justin Suh like on the screen and look at his stats, and I'll look at Justin Suh's stats, and he'll be like T11 on a Saturday, and he'll be like losing 4 strokes on approach. I'm like, this is an unserious golfer. Like I don't know how he does this every damn week, but if he's hitting his irons well, he's so live.
Yeah, and it's his type of tour. Like he's actually a very like accurate driver.
Spot.
And then he's a very good putter. So if he can continue that iron play, I like him. Davis Thompson, not a great putter, but he's kind of like he seems to be finding his swing again. I bet him last week. He played well. He never really had a chance to win, but he hit the ball well. I think he finished like 16th.
It's basically a win though if he played well.
Exactly. So
yeah.
It was he made the cut, so it made the bet worth it. SH Kim, good flop lag candidate, maybe.
Great flop lag candidate. I know the SH Kim thing last week like was insane. Like the chances that the amount of bets he had, like if SH Kim went 1-2, like 2-1, that would have been absurd. But flop lag, I'm down.
He's similar to Suh though. Like normally he sucks with his irons. Like he's like unbelievable driver, like great putter, great around the green. He gained a lot at 2 weeks ago. He didn't last week, but he finished 4th here last year. So we'll see what that's going to be like an ownership dependent play. If people are just not playing him because of last week, I'll definitely go back to him. I will probably go back to Ben Griffin. I feel like this is a course that's kind of good for him, even though
I agree.
Even though he can't close. I bet him 80-1. He's not going to win, but that's a great I'm sure Kirshner jokes with you. Like you win. Sometimes you win the week before it even starts. That's how I felt with the Griffin number, even though he's not going to win. I was like, great number, like flex, made the card.
Is a win.
The card looked good because I threw like a Griffin 80-1 to close it out. So it's a well constructed card.
That's a winning week.
How about you? Sorry, I ranted there. And there's
so
many guys in the 7Ks, as you were saying. Like that's only like half the range. I only looked through like half the range.
Yeah, I feel like there was something I wanted to say before you went on, but I forgot. But I'm gonna go down to Akshay Bhatia. 7,400 feels like a bit of a low price for the ceiling he had. He got off to a blazing start. He was looking good. Like on Friday afternoon, he was like T6 and like just in the mix. And since the golf was so late on Friday for some reason, I don't know why it was on late, but it was on late. And maybe I was just like dreaming because it was normal time, but it felt late and Akshay was like on the TV. No, it was because the stream didn't start till 4 p.m. And
it's
it was
also
like
1 hour. It's 1 hour. If you're on the East Coast, like it's 1 hour behind us. So it was a little later.
Right. So I was like at the gym after work watching the golf, and Akshay was like obviously in a features group. So he was like getting all the shots and he was like T6 on the leaderboard. I was like, fuck, like how did I not bet Akshay this week? Like he's a good golfer, shitty field. And then he just disappeared. But 7,400, that seems just like way too short. He did just propose to his girlfriend, so that's definitely going to take a hindrance off of his golf game. But I feel like even that considered, he's a good play he lost 3 strokes around the greens last week. Like, come on.
Yeah,
he's not going to do that again.
I bet him last week 75-1 because of everything you just said. Thought he was going to win when he was in 6th place, and then everything fell apart. But I think he gained like 4 strokes off the tee. I might be making that up, but I think I saw that. So like he didn't necessarily hit the ball bad. Yeah, he's a guy with such a high ceiling. He was like 9K at the Fortinet, and now he's 7-4, and nobody's going to play him. So I like it from that perspective too. You're buying low on him, and you're buying low on him when potentially not a lot of other people will. So I don't hate him.
I'm definitely in on Shea Batch this week. I think it's a good play.
Yeah, Eckrout is another guy who's got talent. Like he's kind of gone away, but like this is a terrible field. Good driver of the ball, good wedges, can't putt. So
I remember what I was gonna say. Davis Thompson, the last 3 weeks, plus 3 ball striking, plus 4 ball striking, plus 7.1 ball striking last week. Last week was the best ball striking week of his career.
Ooh.
And the second best ball striking week of his career was October 9th, 2022 at the Shriners Open.
He's a big fall swing guy. He doesn't like he's a big fall swing guy. So you sold me there. I mean,
No,
maybe I
he's
should.
on the card. He is on the card and every lineup.
Yeah,
Wait, let's see if we just throw in Davey T right here.
we might
I think
have to.
we still have
Throw him.
72 left. I think we're vibing there. Let's
Yeah,
talk about the bottom of this range. Anyone down here that we can that we want to talk about?
Chest is interesting this week to me at 72. Like he's Ludwig-esque, but he's not as good. But he's great with his driver. He can get hot with his putter. Like it's very similar in that regard. And I think he's just like if you're like in like I like doing this for DFS. Like give me a guy at 72 who we don't know his ceiling necessarily versus
Hell
somebody
yeah.
we do. So I don't hate him. There's one other this one's gross, but like he's actually a bucket here and he's kind of playing well. It's Chesson Hadley.
I had him first round leader last week. That was
Yeah,
sick.
he's not that good of a golfer, but he's good here. He's good here. And he's like he could be good from a lineup perspective. Nobody else plays him. Neesmith is sneaky, like incredible here.
Dude,
He's got a second,
Matty
a
knee.
14th, a eighth, and an 18th. And he seems to be kind of finding back to his old ways. It's like this is the type of course you want him at. Accuracy, not missing.
His stats always like look like he's just gonna be a nuke play because he's always in the 65 to 72 range or whatever. And his stats always look like this guy's ceiling is here, but he just like he'll get off to 4 under through 10 and then just fade. Just fade. But I'm
Yeah,
down for him. I'm down.
I'm not against him. Who else you like in these low sevens?
I'm just like I said last week, I'm buying golfers who haven't proven anything, but I think they can T5 out of nowhere. Like within the stats aren't showing anything. Like Nick Hardy, 7,300. Hayden Buckley, even though he's not playing good golf. Just guys who have showed this ceiling. So those types of guys, I'm just taking my chances on rather than playing the trendy Troy Merritts of the world. Like, you know what you're getting. The Chesson Hadleys, you know what you're getting. I want a guy who hasn't even looked great, the stats don't say anything, but he's young and he showed talent. I'm buying those guys. That's why I bet Ben Griffin last week. I know it cashed for $0, but that's what I'm looking for in the false swing.
Yeah, he finished runner up though, so that's kind of a win.
That's already a win.
Yeah, kind of something. No, but I get what you're saying. I've got a few 6K like guys that I like. There's two that I think like are actually viable plays, and it's I don't know. Nobody like actually gets owned in the 6K range. Even if they do, that's like 5%. I don't think any of these guys will be higher than that. But like Van Rooyen's been hitting, like if you're just talking about ball strike numbers, he's been nuking the ball. He's definitely like a little bit low price too. Like I think you could argue he could easily be higher price. He was also 16th last week. I think 30th the week before. He played well over in Europe, and he's actually gaining so much like ball striking. It's just per usual with him. Can his putter get hot? And then the other guy who I think won here like years and years ago. I could be making that up. I don't see it here, so I might have to fact check myself. But Ben Martin, he had a very good Sunday. He's just like kind of like
he did
plotters course type of guy, and I don't hate those two in the 6K.
Yeah, he was there in the fall swing. Was that last year when he at the event that Chad Ramey won, or that might have been 2 falls ago?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 falls ago, but yeah, I know exactly. He kind of choked it away, right?
Yeah, he choked it away, and then Chad Ramey, the most random winner on in the PGA Tour ever, I think. So yeah, I haven't gone crazy into the 6K range yet. I'll do that tomorrow. I mean, as much as like the guy is like making me less of a fan of him by the week, Mike Kim at 6,900. Actually, no. What are we even saying? Here's the play. Where is it?
There was one
Lexi Thompson, 6,100.
LCT 61.
That's actually objectively insane that she's 6,100. Like,
yeah, she's more than Brian Stored.
She's more than Max McGreevy, who's my guy.
Yeah, Brian Stored used to be my guy. He's actually lost at like every ounce of ability to hit a golf ball. I also this guy is like he's not going to win the tournament, but if you're looking for like a cut making like machine, as I like to put it, especially on these types of courses, Kramer Hickok 6,500.
Yeah.
Um,
He's a driving accuracy savant. I
yeah,
also like Tano Goy at 6,300.
yeah,
Cut
that's a
making
good one
machine.
too. So that's not a bad. Those are two not bad ones.
We gotta go with one guy in the 6K range because this is gonna be so random. I mean, Trevor Cohen 6,300 showed some life. I mean, I don't know what did he do last week, but he does really well off the tee when he's firing. Let's look at Trevor Cohen real quick. He
Ryan
made the
Moore
cut.
also like sneakily modeled out well for me. I don't
He
know if
was
that's
literally like third in my model.
I don't know if that's a glitch for me or yeah. Okay, so maybe I'm not crazy.
No, he was third. I feel like by default he modeled out both of us. Like he might be their guy, and we're left with 8K.
He's like he had an injury last year. I want to say he's kind of been playing better golf. Like these guys. I mean, as you know, we're talking 6K golfers in the Shriners. So like you're really picking hairs here. But I mean, he's he's gonna hit fairways. He's gonna hit greens.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I'm looking for here. So.
I'm just scared because this cut was like 7 under last year. Do I trust Ryan Moore to be 7 under after 2 rounds? Like, I don't know. I'd rather go with like I don't know. What let's make the call. Let's make the call at 6K and then we'll find someone.
Okay, let's
Let's
see.
see.
Uh,
Like, I mean, I don't hate Ryan Moore. It's a 6K range. What about Marty Dow? He was kind of in contention last week.
Marty Dow, Carl Juan. I
Marty
kind of like EVR. I mean, I'd roll the die on EVR.
No, your EVR's ball striking numbers are kind of ridiculous. Let's do that.
All right, let's
All
do
right,
that.
we put EVR in. We're left with 7,700, which is a range that we liked a lot. So before we do this final pick, I have to do one more ad read, and it is
Oh,
going to be
sorry.
Underdog Fantasy. Real quick, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. Underdog has just introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 and pick them and win $100 times your payout. Cameron Kerr hit for 91 to not hit a 91 to 1 bet on Underdog Fantasy. Literally, he is the Underdog King. Go follow him on Twitter if you don't already follow him. $100,000 Sundays continue on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky players each week will win 10K. All you have to do is enter a lineup and you are entered to win 10K. One more golfer, $7,700 to spend. Who are we going with?
So I was thinking that's why I was like, oh, like
You found someone else?
if we trade Van Royen for Ben Martin, you can get your boy Gim, and
We have we have to do that.
yeah, that could be the lineup.
Spending all 50K. That's never the way. But I think that's the lineup for us.
Yeah, that's totally unique. That's going to be unique too. Like
Well, because think of it, because you have Hubbard who's finishing first. You
yep.
have Justin Sull's finishing second, right? Or was that who
Yeah,
was
that's
finishing second?
he can be like a T second, and we don't need him because
We have Ludwig.
Yeah, and DT is going to be up there too.
Fuck. All right. So we'll obviously everyone to start has to build around Hubbard, and then from there you're good.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's a handsome lineup right there.
All right, Kyle. Any other thoughts before we log off tonight?
Who have you finished your card yet?
No, I have to wait till the chart comes out. If
Okay.
you know anything about me, I need to see the chart.
Oh no, I actually think I did know this. So that's fair enough. I'm looking to potentially add one more guy, so that's why I was asking.
List it off real quick. Just who do you got?
I have Shank, I have Putnam, I have Poston, I have Griffin, and then I think I have one more guy, but I'm blanking on him.
Hubs or Davey Thompson. Those are your guys.
Yeah, I actually do like. I'm thinking maybe I should just stay on Davey T because I was on him last week, and you kind of resold me on him, so
yeah,
that might be the one.
All right, well that wraps it up. If you don't follow Kyle, he's in the description of this, so go follow Kyle on Twitter. Thank you guys for joining me. I will be back tomorrow night with some betting and 6K, I think. So I will see you guys then. Any questions, you know where to find me. You know where to find Kyle. I will catch you guys soon. Peace out.